Welcome everyone here tonight. I'm Dr. Jessica Bueller, and I will be interviewing our guest physician for our physician series tonight, Dr. Phil Skow. He is a doctor of chiropractic with offices in Mountain Lake and St. James, Minnesota. He has been practicing for 29 years. He is married to Karen and has 3 boys, 1 daughter-in-law, and 1 beautiful new granddaughter. He is a Pro 3 with LifeVantage and has been utilizing nutrigenomics since August. So welcome, Dr. Skow.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And thank you so much for your time with us tonight on this Thanksgiving Eve, where we get to celebrate our thankfulness tomorrow and all week long. But we sincerely appreciate your time and your willingness to share with our audience this new information on how they can become happier, healthier, and lead less stressed lives by biohacking and using the power of nutrigenomics. So thank you for your time and welcome.
Thank you.
Would you please share with us a little bit of your history or your background or anything that you might want to tell us about what it is that you do?
Okay. Well, I've been a chiropractor in Mountain Lake for 29 years. It's my hometown. Wasn't planning on coming back. My practice pretty much is from birth to death. I see everybody from babies to over 100 years old. Pretty much anything you can think of walking through the door comes into my office. So I've been working with nutrition, but it hasn't been a deep passion of mine as far as a lot of research. I get frustrated at times with some of the things I've had to deal with in the past. So I've used a lot of nutrition in my office, but it's not a total focus of my office.
Awesome. Can you explain to us what biohacking is, or what nutrigenomics is?
Yeah, biohacking is a term it's gaining more popularity. When I first heard it, I was thinking it wasn't a really inviting term for me, but really right now it's a much more hopeful term. Basically, hacking means to take control of a system and to exert control. Bio means biology, so basically we're exerting some control over our own biology and the biology around us.
Great. And there may be people on this call tonight or watching this in the replay that are currently taking some kind of supplements or vitamins. Could you explain the difference between supplementation and activation?
Supplementation is really sort of filling in the blanks. Basically, we're trying to, over the years, we've been trying to add things into our diet to fill in the weaknesses that come with our diet. And sometimes we're trying to go after specific disease processes, trying to protect our heart or our prostate or work with things like that. Activation is a totally different animal. Activation is basically dealing with our body's ability to produce its own protective measures, produce its own nutritional needs through the NRF2 pathway. And so we found that, or what LifeVantage has found, is that we can do that through their primary care supplement, which is Protandim.
Excellent. So what exactly is it that Protandim and activating this NRF2 pathway are good for? What is the purpose of that?
Basically, with Protandim and how the NRF2 pathway works is that our body produces a lot of we get a lot of oxidative stress, and the oxidative stress is basically an aging factor for our cells. And the NRF2 pathway activates our body to produce endogenous antioxidants, which are basically the cell's own protection measure. So rather than taking in a one-for-one basis where you bring in an antioxidant to knock out a cancer cell or something like that, which is the way supplementation has worked, with activation, you're basically teaching or bringing on each cell how to create its own natural endogenous or cell-produced antioxidants. So you're getting, a phenomenal level of protection.
And does this oxidative stress that you mentioned, or this cellular damage, does this affect every person, even children or animals, or what do you see as far as that goes?
Well, the more that I look at the research and the more I see the information, it's just amazing how much of a study there is towards oxidative stress now. Something that wasn't really brought up to me a lot in the past. But basically, yes, it affects every person, every mammal. Not as much with children because they haven't accumulated it quite as much as adults. Animals get it at a much faster rate because they age faster. But yes, every living animal has oxidative stress.
And you mentioned research. Where is it that we could access this research, or how do you search for research and know that it has some validity?
Well, the best place for research, the place that's most esteemed by physicians is PubMed, PubMed.com, which was where all the peer-reviewed studies are. And so it's the Bible for studies on any kind of things that are working within the research articles. Protandim has 27 peer-reviewed articles there, all done independently, not by the company. And when you get into oxidative stress, there's right around 10,000 articles currently on oxidative stress. So as you look at that there and you pull up just the litany of places that are being related to oxidative stress, different diseases, it's really incredible.
So can you help us understand why it's important to take control of our own oxidative stress levels and what it is that this Protandim does? We understand, you explained how it activates that NRF2 pathway in our body, but what does it actually do to our oxidative stress level with that load?
I think probably the best way to look at it is, for a while I've been sort of talking to my patients about, whether it's important to look in doing your own, genetic profile of what you need to do in a way that's really stressful, because now you know the 20, 30 things that you are prone towards due to genetic predisposition. What Protandim does is it will, if it's going to keep a lid on your oxidative stress, then in theory, you're going to take and keep control over some of the things that might express themselves as we age, as we go through these periods where things are, our body wants to express these disease processes or just a general aging.
Have you, in your 29 years of practice, have you seen anything before Protandim that could reduce oxidative stress by 40% in 30 days?
No. And so the biggest thing with that, when you talk about the 40% in 30 days, that was one of the things that really gave me some thought that this is a great product. And took a while for me to understand that the peer-reviewed studies that are out there are being done by independent company or entities like Harvard, the American Heart Institute, just phenomenal studies that are being done. So when we started off, we had a lot of skepticism as far as, okay, how are we going to deal with this? My wife and I were looking at it and concerned, is this really what it does? But it took a while for me to sort of come on with the fact that my research and my information and my personal study is not going to overdo what Harvard just did. So no, I've not seen anything like that. The neat thing with this, as I look back in my office in particular, was that this really took my supplement line and knocked it down to just a very few things I need to work with. This covers such a big area that it was really working with 3/4 of the supplement lines I was looking at having for specific things. This covered it all.
Definitely agree. So with all the research that's there, that's how we know that it will really do what they claim that it will do, right? But what
Right.
was your favorite study on Protandim in general terms? Because not everyone here is obviously um, into having been looking at research in research terms. So just in general terms, if you could explain to us the synopsis of one of your favorite studies.
Sure. Probably one of the ones I think that I like the best, and I've gone through the ones that are on PubMed. One is by a company that produces an MS drug, multiple sclerosis drug. And they did an independent research study. And I think this is one that a lot of other doctors like because it really is just so profound. The drug that they have is called Tecfidera. And so they did a study with that one. They threw in a placebo, and then for good measure, they threw in Protandim. At the end result, they say, their drug and another one that they were currently working with are very effective. But in the subtitle at the end, they say, but by the way, Protandim is actually the most effective and would be the one that's recommended the most. The interesting thing is that drug that they're producing is right around $50,000 a year. And so with lots of side effects. So I think it's one that I like there. The other ones I look at on PubMed, a lot of them have to do with oxidative stress. And I was reading one the other day regarding diabetes, and and obviously the American Heart Institute has done this. So this doesn't treat or cure or mitigate disease, but at the same point, if there's a lot of these things are being researched for oxidative stress, and we know that this can reduce it, there's a big correlation.
Excellent. So in addition to oxidative stress, another really common problem that people deal with is something called, excuse me, mitochondrial dysfunction. Can you explain what that is, or what might be signs of that, or what people would notice if they were experiencing some of that as well?
Right. Mitochondrial dysfunction it's something that's been researched and studied for quite a while now. I've seen it in other seminars I've been at that a lot of people are focused on it. The mitochondria are the powerhouse of the cell. We all learn that when we're in school. Basically, through a period of time, though, the mitochondria get beat up. Basically, they become dysfunctional and they die off. So mitochondrial, with the LifeVantage products, they actually have a product called NRF1, which takes and works sort of towards resuscitating some of the half-dead and rebuilding the dysfunctional mitochondrial, and then replicating and reproducing some mitochondria. And it's been a very effective sort of 1-2 punch with the Protandim NRF2.
So when you get those mitochondria functioning better, what would be some things that you would notice? I mean, what is the main benefit to having that be improved?
Well, basically, you'd hopefully see some increased energy, since the energy, and basically it's going to go around. But basically, things are going to function better. Your cells are going to function better. You'll stay healthier. You won't always totally feel things, but there's hope that you'll feel some things. But hopefully, you'll perform at a higher level. There's some downside to it, so I shouldn't say downside. But when you function better, just like exercising, your body produces more byproduct. So if you are taking NRF1 and you're producing more, with that, producing some more stress in your body, then you have to take NRF2 to sort of counteract that.
Perfect. So there are more and more companies now that are claiming to have NRF2 and NRF1 activators. So how do you respond when asked about these other products, or what differentiates our Protandim Nerf2 and Protandim Nerf1 product from others on the market?
Well, the easiest thing to do, and again, this is another thing that really sells you on the company and the products, is that it has 7 patents on Protandim by itself. And there's 27 peer-reviewed studies that no other supplement line has that. So you go out there, and if you look for these peer-reviewed studies, they'll often have studies regarding components of these, but they don't have the synergistic approach, and they haven't patented that. So they've done their due diligence. They've gone in and they've actually produced a line that is very pure, that nobody else has that can compete with it right now. There's a lot of people trying, because the area is a very profound area, so people are really trying to get in that market. And a lot of the drug companies are trying to get in the market too, and look towards the NRF2 pathway in particular. But like drug companies do, they want to get and work on one thing at a time. They don't want to work on this general approach. So what happens is they just, by being specific, they actually limit themselves. They're trying to work on one thing at a time, whereas this actually covers a really broad base of a lot of area.
Excellent. So what other supplements do you recommend as a foundational nutrigenomic regimen? So you have your NRF2 and your NRF1 product. What else would you typically recommend?
Well, in the nutrigenomic area, basically we're trying to look at nutrition, controlling our genome expression. So basically, other things I look at are, I've been telling people for a long time, has been probiotics. So, I had a patient today who was on heavy antibiotic therapy, but they were not told afterward that they need to have some probiotics. So they're just waiting to get sick afterward. Basically, we need it pretty much every day. It doesn't hurt every day to work with us, and it builds our immune system, our gut health, a lot of times termed our second brain, and to keep that strong and to help fight off things there. So I've always had this in my office. I often said, let's just do something nutritional with yogurt or just other probiotics like acidophilus. The problem that I knew is that a lot of this wasn't getting through our system properly. And so with the probiotic that LifeVantage has, they have another two parts to it. One is called BioTrack, which is basically an encapsulation protection measure to let it get through your gut into your GI system intact. And so basically a lot of the other probiotics get like 4% in. I think we're getting around 60% into usable form into the gut. There's also an immune system portion of it. Then on top of it, the next thing we do is omega-3. And so a good omegas have been something that's always been in my line. There's been many differences. I always tell my patients, you can get omega-3 from carp, but it's not very good. So if you want to get a good omega-3, you have to look at where the source is. So our source is through LifeVantage, is through fish found in the cold waters of Alaska and some of the Scandinavian countries. It is a boat-to-bottle type of production, so we're very conscious of where it comes from. Super pure. I've tasted other fish oils in the past that don't have any fishy taste, but this is as good as anything I've been taking. I've never tasted or burped up fish once. What omega-3s do are, again, deal with our neurology. So it does everything from cell protection to neuroprotection, brain health. And then the last thing is probably the biggest thing that we would see physically is for inflammation. When we get a imbalance between the omega-3s and the omega-6s, then we get a inflammation reaction. So a lot of things from fibromyalgia to arthritis, a lot of those have to do with omega-3 deficiency or imbalance. There's also omega-7 with it, which is something sort of new they're working with. I wish I knew more about it. I'm still looking at that. But it's, again, something that's very, very hopeful that's going to have a big impact on the industry.
Yeah, I'm with you on that too with the omega-7. That was just another kind of thing with this company. It seems like everything is so cutting edge. And that was definitely one for me too. I had to research that after they formulated that with that omega-7 in it as well. What other kinds of products does LifeVantage offer? Even if you just kind of broadly speaking or categorizing or however you want to say that, what kinds of products do they have?
Well, they've got a few. One more thing I'd like to say back with the last question was, for some people that really enjoy digging into the science of this and how it all works. And I have some friends who are really into that. The thing for me is I have a lot of patients that I just have to deal with and get moving through and do it. And so the one nice thing with this product line is that it covers such a big base and it's got such good backing in science that I can take peace of mind into this. I don't have to really worry about the fact that I'm doing a good job. And does this person weigh 120 pounds or 470 pounds? I mean, it's going to work for pretty much everybody. Getting back into some of the other lines that they carry, Axio is a sort of a energy drink sort of supplement. It's actually more brain food. And so it deals with people who have heavy stress load, people who are having memory issues. There's a lot of things in that area. There's another line called Physio, which has got a cleanse. It's got a fat burn for visceral fat. It's got the omega-3 and again for gut health. And then has a protein supplement shake, which is not a diet shake, but that's the area. The thing that first got me excited about LifeVantage products was a line called True Science. And True Science is a skin cream, facial line type of thing. And it's not that I have a lot of vanity, I'll probably do, but the biggest thing for me was that I have a lot of issues with my hands cracking up. I've tried every conceivable thing there is, from $200 creams to steroids, and this literally changed that in 2 weeks. My wife was forcing me to put it on my hands, and so, okay, I did that, and by default became sold on the product because it fixed something that I've had for over 20 years that I've not been able to fix before, and it's still good. If I get really stressed, it gets a little bit rough, but and so with that, another one of their True Science lines is something called it's their hair care system. We were just out at the global convention in Utah. They sort of brought it out there. It is not available to the public yet or through LifeVantage, but this next month it should be. Very pure line, basically. It's got all the negative things you find in shampoos and other things removed. 96% pure, I think. Plus, there's a few additives in there that are hopeful for producing a nice, beautiful head of hair without the side effects. On top of that, I'm hopeful that you'll see some things in the future that will work with. It will work with. Again, can't say they're going to cure or fix these, but things like psoriasis, eczema, things like that, where there's inflammation of the scalp, this will get down to the scalp and should help that. The other thing is that the hair care systems, shampoos and prescription medications, are some of them are really terrible. I mean, I've used them because I've had some issues. We know they're cancer producing. There's a trade-off. The other ways to try to calm this down sometimes is UV light, which again is another cancer fighter or a cancer producer. So, hopefully this will be a really pure line that may have some secondary effects that will help out people who are suffering from these things.
Excellent. So to close off, if you could, as someone who's very passionate about nutrigenomics, as we can tell from this conversation, you must have a lot going on. So why have you chosen to become a distributor with LifeVantage? I'm sure as a physician that other people have approached you with products, hoping that you might want to sell them. But why LifeVantage, and why is it that you think so many physicians have partnered with this company?
Well, I think there's a couple things as I'm thinking about it. First off, I was approached with this a couple of years ago, and it just wasn't something that I wanted to pursue. I didn't take the time to look at it. I thought, okay, this is a multi-level marketing thing. I just really had a stigma against that. So I didn't look into the research, which is my bad. I came back, and after my wife got involved with it, I started doing more with it. the beautiful thing with this is that I think it's a very truthful product. The people that are working with it that I've met are only have the best intention, and to not get this information out to people who need it would sort of be against what we're about. Hopefully, on top of that, now the effort that we put in will be towards working with maybe a better retirement. And host, okay. Just got a little flash on my screen there. I had to see. So I'm new to this, but so hopefully, learning more about direct marketing and multi-level marketing is that it's really sort of the way of the future. I think it's going to be a great thing. It does take work. I mean, so it's going to be some work to get to where we want to be. But hopefully, with my profession, if I'm not working, I'm not making any money. And to use the leverage kind of income will also help me in the future and my family in the future. So I think there's multiple benefits to it. And, the other thing with this, the thing I came up with today was that, you don't have to, sort of like chiropractic. I think one reason why chiropractors like it is that, our profession hasn't really changed much in 100 years. We just now know a lot more why it works. Protandem's sort of the same thing. Basically, the stuff that we talk about has been around for 15 years. The study, the research we use is from a while back, but we now know that what product we're using just influences so many different things that it's super important. And I just learn more about every day. I get more sold on every day. Gonna have to go to work.
Yes, I think I have very similar things. You get a good research product, and you get the health benefits that are coming from natural care, which obviously we were already passionate about first, and then yes, it's a totally different mindset, the leveraged income as well. So I thank you again for your time. And again, thank you for getting on here, and have a great night.
Everybody has a great Thanksgiving. Thank you.